Travis Hansen, speed coach, and today I want to discuss with you two particular things that pertains to athletes that you need to be aware of and that you need to implement directly into your program to be more successful and to be more explosive and to be faster. And this is a request from Jacob Hiller, who's the author of the Jump Manual. I think many of you are going to be familiar with Jacob. You're going to be watching this as part of his audience, but you may not be. Jacob's had the most successful book I'd probably say that I've heard of in training history out of all of us. So I picked up a copy. It's a good book. You should check it out. His production numbers pretty much speak for themselves. I mean, you don't sell a book to that magnitude for nothing. So, but Jake wanted me to take a minute and discuss two topics specific to basketball players, but I also want to note that these particular techniques, which is going to be first step, explosiveness, and top speed training for basketball players, can apply to any type of athlete. I think there's going to be more similarities than differences, between. That's why we tend to look at it, but in this particular instance, there's going to be more similarities, and every athlete can benefit from this, and I'm gonna tell you why. So first step, explosiveness. I'm going to discuss that first. I think many of you are aware, but I think I might be able to shine some light on a few things that you may be unaware of, according to specific training science. And I want to credit Lee Taft, because I believe he's the trainer and the coach that first identified this study on the topic. Back in '95 in the Journal of Biomechanics, they did a study on, I want to say it was a dozen, I get this wrong, the exact quantity of subjects or athletes, but about a dozen athletes, and they implemented a series of different start or first step techniques or approaches, and what they found is that the plyo step, which I'll demonstrate really quick. So a plyo step, you just have your hands on your legs here. It's just an innate neurological reaction is what they concluded from the study. It's just, all it is just a quick step back as you draw your shoulders forward. And there's three particular mechanisms or functions that occur when you perform this. So first, your foot response, you're going to get a better plyometric effect, stretching and shortening response from your foot, which is going to enable greater acceleration and power in that linear intended direction. You're going to create better acceleration angles, so you're going to be able to load your each lower extremity joint a little bit better. So you're going to store more elastic energy, recruit more motor units, more muscles, and recruit those things faster. And also you're going to get gravity support. So you're going to maximize your efficiency because you're repositioning your body in such a manner that you're that much closer to your destination. So you're getting gravity feeding you forward and down, and then also you're moving closer to where you're going. So those are the three primary things associated with that particular technique and why I think it's so successful. But real quick in the study, as far as their discussion or results, they noted that the athletes, and I've tried this with my own athletes, and you guys may be familiar with this, but it just felt wrong to do it any other way. Like I said, it's just an innate thing that we really shouldn't mess with, and we just get more faster and explosive through other areas of training to be able to express that particular technique better. So again, 95 in the Journal of Biomechanics, and also force plate measurements. So they had force plates that was analyzing the quantity of force distributed through those mats into the ground from each athlete, and that plyo step, that quick little technique that I just demonstrated, generated the highest power outputs, force outputs. So it's icing on the cake. Then the next thing I want to discuss, I'm trying to make this video quick, but I could ramble on all day about these two topics because they're great topics. But I think a lot of the information isn't purely disclosed yet. Top speed training for team sport athletes generally tends to be conflicting. I mean, why should you train at distances greater than the actual distances that you generally travel in your sport? So for basketball players, I used to know the exact court length. So excuse me, I want to say it's 90 feet, somewhere in there. It don't really matter too much, 20, 30 yards. So what we can do is we can adopt track literature. So world-renowned former track and field coach and expert Charlie Francis, who trained Ben Johnson, former world record holder, and many others. And if you read any of his books, he's brilliant. We adopt a lot of his information whether we know it or not, or we hear a lot about it. And he's arguably contributed more to the speed culture than anybody in the history of man. So we need to credit him. And he came up with a chart, identified, either through his own research or adopted from elsewhere, but most beginner to intermediate level sprinters or really good athletes, intermediate level athletes to good athletes they're gonna reach max acceleration or top speed, at 20 or 30 yards. Then you're gonna begin slowing down. So what that means is you're gonna be accelerating the whole time you're running up and down the court in a linear direction, and you're probably not gonna begin to decelerate. But you may be. So you may be faster on the court if you implement some greater distances and teach your body to maximize its acceleration capacity and increase its speed longer. So that's reason enough. But also, the top speed training, what it does is as we reach top speed and we move faster, naturally ground contact time is going to diminish. So you're required to express all your strength that you built in the weight room or that you possess naturally. And you have to express it in a shorter period of time versus the start when there's no resistance, no momentum. So these conditions force the athlete to become faster and more explosive. So when you go back to your first step or your start, or as you accelerate initially, that initial acceleration phase, you're going to be faster because you're going to have conditioned and primed your neuromuscular system to recruit its muscles faster and to recruit more muscles faster because you did all that top speed training and your body got acquainted with that demand. So that's why top speed training tends to correlate or has carryover into team sport settings and your first step and your start and your acceleration work. I kind of just clump those all together, even though I should be talking about first step. I think it associates with all three of those elements. So the other thing I want to mention, the last thing, an indirect measure, is your programming for this. You got to utilize a high-low approach or the Pareto principle, depending on which culture you come from. It's two different terms that essentially they're synonymous with each other, mean the same thing. You got to cycle your intensities. That's the third way to say it. You can't be training hard. Jacob's done a good job going over this. He went over in his book. It's why he's successful himself. It's why his athletes are successful. It's because he knows this principle and he knows how to get results. And this is one of the primary reasons why. And it all goes back to program design, is that you can't just go balls out. It's counterintuitive. I believe he was the one that said that. It's a fitting term. I can't conjure up a better way to say it, but you can't go balls to the wall all the time. You gotta stagger your efforts, your high efforts out, in a very systematic, strategic fashion to allow your body to recover and peak. So I've said enough. Hopefully you learned a few things. Hope you enjoyed this segment. And if you haven't, subscribe to my channel because I got a lot of good videos already, and I'm gonna be going just balls out crazy on educating and disclosing to you everything I know. So thanks for listening.